Hello, Develop. It's me, Stevie Ward. I am here with the incredible Oliver and Hayley from Mediatonic and Fall Guys.
Hello.
Which is unbelievable. And thank you guys so much for being here for this Develop talk. It's amazing to have you. It's an absolute honor. As a community professional, I'm completely thrilled that we have gotten you guys on, especially after the year you've had. So, I mean, let's start from the very top. Oh my goodness, Fall Guys. It's done well, hasn't it?
Just a little. So much better than we expected completely. Yeah, it's been crazy.
And I think it's funny for Oliver, I don't know if you feel this way as well, but I feel like as the marketing team, you're throughout development usually like the cheerleaders, because the developers don't always, believe it until they see it. So we've been positive about the game for a while because we're like, this is an amazing game to work on. But there was no way to kind of predict just how crazy the launch would go.
Yeah, it's been funny because Mediatonic as a company is really, really humble. So there's all this oh, we don't really know how it's going to go. We hope it goes well. But yeah, me and Hayley have been oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really big. But yeah, I think it's hard to see that when you're working on the game.
I mean, the word it says on Wikipedia, because I was doing my wiki research, multiple outlets would go on to describe the game's popularity as a phenomenon, which is that I like that a lot. I mean, within 24 hours of release, you had over 1.5 million players, so that was already almost like an instant community that just streamed in. But from a community development perspective, I mean, obviously, you guys were sort of raring to go and you knew what you wanted to do. Was there a strategy in place? How much did you expect to have when coming in?
So we're really lucky with the community stuff because I started in December last year and I've had almost 9 months to kind of start building this community up. And I think by the time we launched, we tried loads of different techniques and we knew our community really well, and the foundations were all there. So it was all kind of ready for it to pick up. And I think if we hadn't have done that and we'd have just sort of started community right at the launch, I don't think it would have gone quite as well as it did.
So were you doing beta tests and play tests and friends and family stuff like that?
Yeah, we did a lot of that stuff. So betas were probably the point where we realized how big the game was going to be, because we had a bunch of influencers that had kind of signed up and they were interested in playing. And then as soon as the first beta went live and we dropped the NDA, we started climbing on Twitch, and it started at number 20 and then it was climbing up. We kept thinking, oh, that's the highest it's going to get. That's awesome. And then it just kept getting higher and higher. And then even when it got to the number 1 spot, we were well, it's obviously just going to sort of dip straight back down again. But then it stayed there, and it was there the next day. And yeah, and then the next beta we did, it was the same again. It was really cool to see.
And also we were kind of lucky as well because we were able to take it to a few events before everything locked down. I feel like that was also one of those moments where the team could see that actually this was going to work. We had taken it to PAX Australia and a few other smaller places first before the game was kind of finalized, but people were loving it and lining up for an hour just to play even then. And then we got to bring it when it was almost in a more complete state to PAX East right before all the crazy lockdown stuff. And it was just insanity to watch people. We had a queue that went all the way around our booth. And I think that was also where we were realizing that some of the thoughts we'd had from a marketing perspective were coming properly into play, because, it's a game that everybody can jump into. And there were, parents and their kids coming to play. And at first the kid, would want to play and the parent would be standing behind them. But then the parent will be actually, I want to play. And then they get really competitive and they play together, as well as, friends coming back with their friends to play and stuff like that. So I think that was also kind of a live beta test, if you will. And it was really great to see.
I mean, it was like catching lightning in a bottle. It makes so much sense what you said about the strategy to get streamers on early, because it's obviously fun to play, but it's so fun to watch. So it makes so much sense that getting those influencers on early, them twigging, wait a minute, if I play this, all my streamers are going to watch, every viewer I have, every subscriber is going to think this is brilliant. It's comedy, it's wholesome. There's so much about that makes so much sense. I can totally see why you'd lean in about that. So then it comes to launch, and how did launch go?
Well, yeah, I guess like we had some signs because of like the beta and how fast like the Twitter was growing, and we had so much like press coverage, and so like everything was kind of like all the boxes were being ticked and it was looking really good. We had a lot of wish lists as well, like wish lists are really high up, so everything looked really promising. And then when we sort of pushed the button and everything was like the servers were holding up to begin with, it just started going really well, and like we could tell really early on that this was going to be huge success.
And it was funny to like watch the back and forth between our team at Mediatonic and our publishers team at Devolver, you know, because everybody has been working for months to get it to this point, and we've done a lot of prep work, but it was still just like a moment of disbelief as we were all watching it together, especially since we're all remote working as well. Because, you know, normally you'd be in the studio together and you'd kind of huddle around or have like a bit of a launch party or something like that. But instead we were all just kind of sitting amazed in our separate corners of the world, and Devolver across the US as well. So across different time zones and everything too.
Just amazing. I mean, and it says obviously on the wiki, and I remember at the time, the servers overflowed due to the popularity, which I think is a lovely problem to have. Like I've worked on games, Oculus launch games, where no one had a headset, and you know, we opened the server expecting some kind of awful kind of crash, and then no one showed up, and we were just like, you know, there by ourselves with our cake. You guys had the opposite thing where, you know, you were basically completely overflowed with that. The comms I thought you did were brilliant when it came to being able to talk to your community about what was happening there. Was there a strategy in place for like when that, obviously like you have to think super fast with that stuff, like when it comes to that kind of thing? Was there a plan, or was it just sort of, how did you kind of go about sort of relaying what was going on to the community?
Yeah, so there wasn't like, we hadn't planned for what do we do if the servers can't handle as many people as they do, but we'd already been talking like really openly and kind of honestly with the community. So I think as soon as the server issues started happening, we just sort of kept that up, and we were just like really upfront and honest about it. And also like, yeah, we joke around a lot on like the comms. So I wanted to kind of keep that up as well, because I think if you sort of start just apologizing and just get really serious, or you just sort of slow down on comms, I think that sort of sets the conversation for the whole community, and it just becomes about that. But I think because we still joked and we still posted memes and kind of embraced the fact that the servers weren't handling the amount of players, I think the community sort of like embraced it as well, and it just sort of became, I think it became less of an issue.
And also, I think that showcases like a lot of the strategy that Oliver's used for building that community voice as well. Because if you hadn't, you know, started that a few months ago, I imagine the launch would have gone a bit differently. But we were able to remind the players, you know, the community that are behind us, that there's real people involved on the dev team, and, you know, we're all working hard and jumping in. And I think also because, you know, Mediatonic and Devolver, so used to working on live games and interacting quickly even across time zones, we were able to just communicate really rapid fire across Slack to make sure that we could, you know, try to support everything as best we can, and feed Oliver as much information as we can as well.
And I mean, we were talking about this the other day on by Develop Talk about building an authentic voice. I think a lot of brand managers go on about, we need to have an authentic voice. Authenticity is really important. But what's obviously happened with Ollie is that it was just so clear that there was a person behind that Twitter. Because a lot of, you know, there's so much fatigue about, you know, interacting with brands. Like, I don't care if Coca-Cola says something funny or has worked out what gaming meme is funny right now and posts it. It just isn't, it doesn't interest me. But it was so obvious. I think from that experience, from that event, that there was somebody behind there that was going, listen guys, like, we're being review bombed, or this is happening, or that's happening, that you were just like, we understand, thank you so much for like keeping us informed. You can tell that we really just are passionate about this game. And I mean cut forward, I was going to say the rise and rise of Oliver, age 24. You're a bit of a celeb now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I mean, it's phenomenal. Like you became like the most wholesome thing on Twitter this year. I can't think of anything else on Twitter in 2020 that I found as lovely and as fun as your Twitter account this year. I mean, it's completely saved Twitter as far as I'm concerned. Like,
I don't know what to say. That's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in on you. I just am envisioning all the Olivers now that we have in game. And I know you were tweeting about that the other day and how random it is now that when you play, you're surrounded by yourself.
Yeah, that's really weird. Originally, I was quite worried about it because just like running the Twitter, because I wanted it to be like really funny, and it initially seems like a challenge to keep this like wholesome, accessible to everybody, but also to be funny and kind of relevant, like with internet culture and stuff. Usually it's a bit edgy and like it's harder to keep that wholesome. So I thought that would be a challenge, but I was surprised how easy it is to make content that is funny but isn't offensive.
I mean, I saw the other day, did you have a fake robot on Twitter whilst you were away for a weekend? So was it, and were you actually there, or was that the Olibot? Did I say, was it what was it called?
It's Beanbot, like, and it was very real.
That's what it was.
Real AI.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like I think even it's obvious that you're trying hard to think of amazing content, but it's still obvious that it is you and it is authentic, and it's something that I think has become sort of synonymous with the brand and with the game, and it works perfectly. And I think that the reason it works is it isn't like 10 people in a room think tanking, hello, hi fellow kids. It's your personality, and I think that that's what makes it what it is, and that's such an amazing thing to be able to do and have as part of your brand. And I mean that sort of feel good community vibe just kept going. I mean, I would be amiss not to talk about what's happened with special effects. The wonderful charity that helps disabled people play video games. The TLDR of it for those that don't know is basically, you were getting a lot, as far as I can see, you were getting a lot of interest from brands about partnering with Fall Guys because obviously everyone was watching it, everyone was playing it. And then where did the idea come to basically make them fight it out for charity? How did this happen?
So we were retweeting like any fan art that anybody made, and I think brands saw that and they thought, oh, we could do like a Fall Guy version of our brand, and they'd do that, and then I started retweeting those as well. And I think it became a meme to kind of make your own version of Fall Guys with your brand. So I think loads of community managers sort of wanted to get involved with that, and then we kind of kept retweeting it. It just became this sort of like spiral of more people wanting to get involved. We'd retweet more, and it was just getting bigger and bigger. And then Nigel at Devolver suggested we tried to turn it into something really positive, and maybe we could use it to raise money. And we sort of do a bidding war of these brands, and whoever sort of bids the most, they'd get their skin in game, but also the money would go to charity. I think Special Effects is a charity that we've worked with previously with Mediatonic, and Devolver have worked with before as well. And it's something we're just really passionate about, so it just seemed like a perfect match.
I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, it started off with there was a toilet brand. Was it a toilet brand that was getting up there in the ranks? And then influencers started, and then some really big influencers started. And then what was the total in the end? I think the 4 influencers banded together to win it and put their money all in. How much did you make in the end for the charity?
There's $1 million in the end, which is crazy. So yeah. We didn't really know what to expect at all. Like, I think that from the idea being suggested, I think it was a week before us going live with the tweet, and that was just working out like, can we actually do this, and sort of checking with our legal team and checking with special effects if they were happy for us to do it. Yeah, so it moved really, really quickly. It just seemed like everyone we spoke to about the idea was just like super on board with it and said, that sounds awesome, let's just do it.
I think it was such a, I know, you know, personally in 2020, it's always nice to look forward to like those wholesome moments. And I think we were all really excited as a team, and, you know, the people at Devolver as well, to watch and see how it turned out, because it was just so wild. We didn't know, you know, what number we would end up on. And it was also like just fun to watch, because you at first you didn't know who would be winning, because there were some like big brands in there, you know, that aren't games or influencers in the gaming industry. So like, as you say, like the toilet or bidet one was hilarious, and really showcased like how crazy it could end up depending on who won. So I think, you know, the fact that people just didn't know was one of the things that triggered, you know, us to keep watching and kind of like wait with bated breath to see who exactly would be getting, you know, their little Fall Guy costume at the end.
I mean, and it's such an amazing community thing to do, because obviously the community had already come together because they love your game. They already came together online because they love Ollie. And then like finding something that they all cared about, where they could band together to do something that helped other people, is just phenomenal. And I mean, I've seen what where that money goes for special effect firsthand, and you've changed lives. I mean, you've changed people's lives with that, with just the having the spirit to get that through legal, and to say, you know what, we're going to go through with it. And yeah, if a toilet brand wins, then a toilet brand wins. You know, you've changed lives. You've changed you know that charity forever. And I mean, that is phenomenal, and you should be so unbelievably proud of what you've done on that alone. I mean, it's something that I think will keep Fall Guys and Mediatonic and Devolver in the, you know, part of gaming history, what you've done. I mean, and as far as community events for the games industry, I mean, it's exemplary. Is that the right word? Exemplary? That's it.
Sounds close enough to me. I think, like, I don't know, Oliver, if you feel the same way, but you know, at Mediatonic, one of our like company values is that we want to kind of like leave the world a better place than we found it. Whether that's for our players or our partners or our developers, it doesn't matter. We're always just trying to make the world like just a little bit brighter. And Fall Guys is one of the first original titles that we've made that is really kind of like a Mediatonic, you know, flavor, shall we say. There's a lot of like things that the company as a whole really believes in that's in Fall Guys, and I think it's such a great opportunity to be able to showcase that through the game, but also like with the marketing and the community management itself, and to be able to pass on that feeling of positivity and wholesomeness and like helping each other out through marketing, you know, which sometimes is viewed as, you know, not quite wholesome or beneficial to society. So I think that was, yeah, just a great moment to feel for everybody. Certainly our team was delighted just as much, I think, as the people, you know, watching it all take place.
I think that's why it sort of went through so quickly as well, because everyone that heard it was like, oh yeah, that's really Mediatonic and Devolver. Like, I think because we've done all the work to kind of like with the brand and everyone's like values and everyone's aligned on it, I think that's how we're able to jump on those things so quickly. Like, it wasn't really a conversation of, should we do this? Is this right for us? It was like, that sounds awesome. That fits exactly with what we want to do. And I think that's why we could make it happen so quickly.
Sounds like you're all really aligned on the goals and who the brand is, and the communications pathways are there and all of that stuff. I know, like, getting things through legal, I think, is a community manager's worst nightmare sometimes, or a marketing team's worst nightmare even more so. So it's yeah, I mean, it just obviously all the pieces must have been just perfectly in place for that just to be just the most amazing thing that it was. Has there been any other sort of big fun community moments so far that you're really sort of excited about, proud about?
Yeah, I really like sort of sequential like events that happen like in real time that you sort of tweet about. So like the Battle of the Brands was a good one because it kept like happening and there were always like new updates and stuff, so people was like really invested in kind of following it and seeing it how it would go, and nobody really knew because it wasn't planned. It was just spontaneous. So I guess another really big thing like that was the whole thing with Tim the Tapman trying to win a crown, and he kept failing to win. There were like live updates of that, and that was just like super organic as well. We just sort of sent the first tweet roasting him a little bit, and then he reacted, and then he kept failing, and it sort of just spiraled into this big event that like played out over a number of days. It was just, yeah, it's just really fun, and it just became this really big moment, which is crazy.
And then there's Cheetah Island, which is one of my favorite threads. So, I mean, obviously Cheetah Island for me is a perfect example of, having worked on MMOs where like the blogs are like, we are investigating cheaters in the system, and we've assembled a team of people that aren't your friend, and we will destroy you, and you will never play the game again, and we have put this into place, goodbye. You had a different approach to it, which was fantastic. So can you talk about how you did that, why you did it that way, and the response from that? Because I love it as far as the community comms goes.
I guess like one of the big challenges we had is because we were so open and like honest and talking through everything with everyone, we couldn't do that with cheaters, because if we told people too much, they could use that to like get around the systems we were trying to build. So there was this sort of battle between the coders and the cheaters, we were trying to stop them, and they were working around the things that we were building. And because we were a small team, it took us time to sort of address everything. So we were trying to buy time as well. So it was a real challenge, like being open and upfront about it, but also like holding stuff back. And then that moment where we could finally talk about Cheetah Island and talk through everything, because we'd got easy anti-cheat in the game and it was working. It was just really cool to actually just explain the full story of this is why we can be open and tell you what was going on, and then just sort of like list everything. And I think players, you don't usually get to see that side of things and understand that there's this like weird dynamic between the developers and cheaters. And yeah, I think it was just a really fun thread to type up because it's quite a story.
And I think it did more for helping gamers understand that struggle than any kind of sort of cold blog about the system or whatever, because like it was funny. The way it was described was funny, that there's just all these cheaters. You put all these cheaters on an island together, and they're just all cheating together, and they don't know they're all together. And you know, the lovely thing about that is they could see that you guys were working hard on it, but it was also just a really funny entertainment piece as well, where like it was just unbelievably cool to see a different approach to being able to do those comms. Loved it. I like the what's the hammer that comes down, some like the reveal for that. I've forgotten the name of that. Was it
Big Uyrus? The
Big Uyrus. I was gonna say the Big Uyrus, like bringing in the Big Uyrus. Loved it. Very good, very good. These things are just the way that you reveal features and talk about the hard stuff is something that I think a lot of studios really could look at and sort of say, like, you know what, it isn't going to hurt to just be sort of personable and funny and explain things on the same level as you explain it to your mate, which is brilliant. Which brings us to sort of the next point. What's next for you guys? What's coming? Can you tell me all the secrets? I won't tell anyone. It's just us that develop and everyone watching. So what's happening? What's going next?
I guess so. So next is like trying to scale the team to kind of keep up with the demand, because people are playing through all the levels, and we're quite a small team still, and it takes time to like hire the right people and scale things up. So we're trying to, and we didn't anticipate how popular the game would be or how often people would play it as well. We're in this sort of phase where we're hiring people. We're trying to get the right people and get them up to speed as fast as possible so we can just scale up how big the updates are. We just dropped season 2 and it had 4 levels, and I think the community were expecting or anticipating a few more than that. So we've got this, we're trying to sort of scale that up to match expectations now. So each time we do an update, we're hoping that we can make it bigger and add more levels. And obviously we had all the cheater stuff to deal with as well, so that slowed us down a little bit. It's just trying to kind of keep up with just how popular the game's got.
And I guess
I think too, I don't know, Stevie, if you saw, for example, like our Sonic costume, but you know, we have been talking to a few different folks, so there should be some exciting stuff coming up too in regards to what kind of stuff that you can get in the game. And you know, you might see some more iconic characters in there at some point. Obviously, each season will have a different theme too, so I think that will be really exciting for people. I know our design team, for example, have had loads of fun trying to figure out how the themes can inspire different mechanics to try to keep everything really fresh and so that they can find inspiration in that too.
Yeah, the design team at the moment are trying to like add loads of variations to the existing levels. We did that like halfway through season 1 and it went down really well. So now for season 2, we're going to add like loads more different variations that could happen. And I think that'll really change how people are playing the game. So that should be exciting to see.
And it's perfect for retention, right? So you're keeping that big community entertained and fresh, and coming up with new challenges for them and new things for them to latch onto and love. So amazing. I mean, and I guess your hopes for the future is just like more and more and more and more.
Yeah, basically, that's basically what we've written on all of our documentation. So.
Brilliant. Well, I think we're probably coming up to the end of our half hour. So I just wanted to thank you so much for giving us your time here at Develop to talk about a little bit about how you went about doing this incredible phenomenon that is your game and your community and your comms. And thank you so much. If there's anything you'd like to say to everybody, obviously now's the time to do it. So
thanks for the opportunity to be here. It's really good.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to know that people are enjoying the game itself and chatting to us and the team as well through the community, because it's nice to break down those barriers sometimes. And we've certainly loved seeing everybody also like submit either, you know, their crocheted Fall Guys or fan art or all those kind of stuff. So it's been a tremendous experience all around, I think.
Well, it's been a tremendous experience being able to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Bye.